Good evening, and thank you as always for joining us tonight on Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenik with my co-host Brandon Domingue, and we have some Week 7 truck action for you, getting down to the nitty-gritty here over halfway through the season. Brandon, what are you thinking about tonight?
Well, I'm thinking it is our first short track of the season officially, if you want to not count Dover, which most people don't because that is a mile. But first time we're going officially under 1 mile in length on one of these tracks this season. And after what we saw last week at Nashville, we saw some interesting racing there. We saw some tight racing there. It's going to get even tighter here tonight at the Get Richer 125. I got my dollars ready for that one, as we're going to have I think it's going to be a bit of a caution fest tonight, possibly. But we'll see if these drivers can kind of get their way through here pretty clean.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it does live up to the short track reputation of having a lot of cautions out there on the track. But then again, this truck series has been very impressive this year and very entertaining at that. And some storylines are already starting to unfold already halfway through the regular season. And the big one is JBR starting to take over as far as the team standings go, finishing 1, 2, 3 last week, saying they might be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 today. That's something that we'll have to pay attention to. But, a lot of other things happening as well, Brandon.
Yeah, and obviously the big story right now, as you mentioned, is Jonathan Byer Racing. They have been absolutely lights out the past couple weeks. Not only 1, 2, 3 last week, they were 1, 2 the week before it, with Jonathan Byer winning both of those races. But we've got a lot of teams that are also starting to build up a little bit of momentum as well, and really kind of finding themselves as now the rosters are locked. So everybody's going to have the team that they're with the rest of the way, and that's going to go a long way, I think, in kind of gelling these teams a little bit more, as we're going to have less turnover than we've seen those first few weeks.
Yeah, well, let's get into the race intro and see exactly what we're getting ourselves into tonight for the Get Richer 125. You see it there. We're here at Richmond Raceway tonight for 125 laps, and I have a feeling a lot of these trucks are going to be needing that one fast repair.
Yeah, that fast repair is going to be absolutely crucial. I kind of wish we had that tomorrow for us in the Xfinity Series, because that might go a long way around this 3/4 mile track. But 125 laps, I think the big question is going to be how many of those are going to be green, how many of those are going to be yellow. We saw a lot of cautions last season. Hopefully we can avoid that tonight.
A lot to get to on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show tonight, but first let's go ahead and dive into our league details. Just like every other series on SRN, it's a 20-week fixed setup league. And like I already mentioned, these guys are the only series that have that one fast repair, which is going to come in very handy tonight for some short track racing. They're paying $5 a week to get in on the action as well, and they are racing for weekly and season payouts, with that first place champion coming away with $300. And we do allow up to 5-person teams here at SRN, and those guys are racing for a $100 team championship prize as well.
Yeah, and we're really seeing that team format kind of taking its shape now, where the regular season is going to be used to seed everybody for that team championship playoff, and then it's going to kind of look a lot more similar to a traditional sport playoff, where it's going to be bracket style through the rest of the way for that $100 team championship. We'll have the playoffs as well that'll mimic what you see in real life with NASCAR when it comes to the individual side of things. So we're guaranteed some excitement in those final 7 races of the season, but we still got 7 races, including tonight, before we get there.
Let's go ahead and move on to the race payouts. And I'm already noticing someone in chat, David Duke, saying, hey, big man, let me hold $1. So you might have to get up with him after the race, Brandon. But tonight, these guys are racing for $15. The winner coming away with a nice $15, going to triple their entry fee. Second going to get $10, and third through fifth going to get their money back.
Yeah, I think there's some 5s and a 10 in that little stack that I was waving around there. But the $15 payout for first, that's going to go a long way there for 3 weeks worth of race entry fees. That second place is 2, third through fifth getting their money that can go to next week's race. That just keep putting that forward and kind of just keep building that little bit of a nice little bankroll that you can get going there. And this kind of a hustle here in the truck series. If you're consistently up near the front, you can kind of build up some cash here pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if this is your first time tuning in, that might not look like a big amount of money on the screen, but you're exactly right. Over a 20-week season, you're likely to start adding that up, and that's also going to come into play with the season payouts as well. You're going to be able to add this nice little chunk of change to your wallet, too, if you're able to get this far in the playoffs. And that first place champion is going to get another $300 to go on top of everything they earned in the individual races as well. Second going to come away with $150. Third place going to get $90. Fourth place coming away with $60. And then if you make it into the final 5, you're guaranteed at least $40. Sixth place going to get $30. Seventh going to get $20. And then that 8th place finisher going to come away with $10. But a great thing, Brandon, this year is SRN adding 6th through 8th in the season-long payouts.
Yeah, that is a new addition this season. Just kind of gives a few more drivers in the field more reason to run competitively, and also to even just kind of show up. You know, it gets, you get to that point where you come up just short for that championship 5, and it kind of takes it out of you a little bit. And yes, if you got like a sponsor, or you're trying to be there for your team, that's added bonus there to get there for that final race and really push hard. But that does take that mental toll. So having those 3 extra payout positions that'll be for those drivers that just missed the cut for the championship 5, just going to promote even better racing when we get to the finale.
Well, something that can help you promote a little bit better racing is going to be Kane Cook Sim Coaching. And Brandon, we always preach each week all the stuff that he has taught us out here on the track, and I'm a testament to that. Doing really well in the Xfinity Series this year, a win to my name already. Not to brag, but that just goes to show that this guy knows what he's talking about, because I was nowhere near a win at this point last season in the same league. So please look at the screen if this is something that interests you. He has 2 accounts, both of which are professional accounts, over 7,000 iRating, and the man is racing for a $300,000 prize in the Coca-Cola Series with the best out there. So this is definitely a guy you want to learn from.
Yeah, and you talk about being a great image there of what happens when working. I did work with him in the off season. I might not be as shining of an example this season, but that momentum is starting to come in. But a lot of what he was working with me on was just kind of getting used to the Xfinity car. So if you're trying to get comfortable in one of the race cars, or even just trying to figure out things like the settings and how you can really utilize the features of iRacing to be a little bit better on the service, definitely hit up Kane. Very easy to work with, great coaching, and you can always go to speedracingnetwork.com to book that session.
Yeah, and you can do it any way you want. Like you and I both did it a little differently. I try to get up with Kane every week if I can and book a session for the given track on the schedule for that week. But you can also do it the way you did it and just get familiar with a certain car, and that goes a long way in itself as well. So like you said, go ahead, check out speedracingnetwork.com. Really easy to set up a scheduled session with him. But now let's go ahead and move on to one of our favorite segments on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show. It's going to be the Beer of the Week, brought to us by Beer Street Journal.
This week's Beer of the Week comes out of the spirits arm of Southern Tier Brewing. It's a ready-to-drink cocktail that is inspired by their popular Pumpkin beer. It's called King and Cola, and it's exactly what you would expect, the perfect balance of pumpkin pie spices and peppery cola. The distillery also has a whiskey called Pumpkin Whiskey, but this can combines that with the classic taste of cola. It's the perfect mix, ready to go for your barbecue or adult get-together, especially as the weather cools off. But if pumpkin isn't your thing, that's okay. Southern Tier Distilling has also come out with vodka pink lemonade and lime agave margarita, both in the cans ready to drink. You can find these drinks in New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and North Carolina, so don't let the autumn season go by without trying out the King and Cola. The Beer of the Week is sponsored by BeerStreetJournal.com, the leading online publication for craft beverage reviews. Go to BeerStreetJournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly. This week's Beer of the Week comes out of the spirits arm of Southern Tier Brewing.
For bringing us this week's Beer of the Week. There you saw it, the Pumpkin and Cola. A little bit of a different take on our Beer of the Week, brought to us by Southern Tier Distilling Company. And Brandon, the pumpkin flavored beverages are in full force.
Yeah, I definitely saw on social media that the pumpkin spice coffees are back, so that only means that the beers are going to be right behind. And we got our second pumpkin flavored beer of the season already.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and move to the drivers that are sitting inside the cut. You see them there too. JBR truck sitting atop the standings. Jonathan Byer and Landon Cardulo going to be 1 and 2. Sean Jensick, though, sitting there in third, and Michael Madden sitting there in fourth as well. So 2 Rev drivers just behind them, and Blair Holloman from Zuyos going to round out our top 5.
And how about that for the consistency of some of these teams? The top 9 comprised of just 3 teams, as you have 4 Rev drivers, 3 JBR drivers, and 2 Zuyos drivers inside the top 9. Just really goes to show how competitive and how complete that those 3 teams have been this season. You also see another JBR driver in Kyle Wimble in 11th, another Zuyos driver in Mike Mosby, just inside the cut at the moment, sitting at 120 points.
Yeah, Mike Mosby on the bubble, and some drivers looking to knock him off the bubble are sitting right here. You see Evan Scott just behind him, 9 points off of Mike Mosby, sitting there in 16th. So nice little cushion for Mosby, but if he has a bad race, that can easily slip away from him. James Kerr sitting just behind him, but then you have Dave Fuchs Jr., who's run really well at times, sitting here. Dom Milkowicz sitting in 21st, and Walt Lipicki sitting there in 24th. You know, you got a lot of big names out here. Andrew Harris down there in 29th. Who else is sticking out to you here, Brandon?
Well, you did touch on Andrew Harris. He had a top 5 in this race last season, but a name that I think is starting to build up a little bit more momentum, and we kind of hear him a good bit on Thursday nights while we're racing, and that's Jacob Zala. He's had a lot of speed, just really trying to get that complete race put together, but he's sitting in 22nd. That's somebody I have my eye on to possibly move into that top 15 here pretty soon.
He's going to have to really string together some good finishes, sitting 16 points outside the cut. But let's go ahead and check out the team standings before we move into the driver intros. And there you see it. The team that has been the hottest team on the track is up at the top and building on that lead. Jonathan Byer Racing sitting there with 2 wins. Just about, 50-ish, 54 points above Rev Racing, who's sitting in second. And then Next Level Motorsports just 6 points behind Rev Racing. So a tight battle there.
Yeah, Next Level having the rebrand, and they've kind of caught a little bit of momentum here since that point, and just kind of getting together with a rather new team there. Zuyos sitting in 4th. They've been very consistently building on that momentum, and that's really the big word as we get through into the playoff season. You want to be the hot team going into that. So even if you're the 1 seed, you're still going to be having to do some work once you get to the playoffs. It's not a bye in this league, as we got the 8 teams out there. So if you can get hot at the right time, you could see something like a wild card type of run like we see in traditional sports.
Yeah, and just keep in mind this is all for seeding as far as the team championship playoff standings go. A little bit of a playoff format that they are running this year. So, 1 through 8, 2 through 7, 3 through 6, or 3 and 6, and 4 and 5. Those are going to be your matchups. So keep that in mind as the season moves on. But moving on here on the Healthcare Billing Incorporated pre-race show, we're going to go ahead and dive into some team introductions. And the first team on that block is going to be JBR, sitting atop the team standings, and rightfully so, with a lot of momentum heading into Richmond here this week, and that's going to be all because of Jonathan Byer with those 2 win stickers to his name. But Landon Cardulo ran really great last week at Nashville. Kyle Wimble having one of his best finishes here at SRN as well, and Jack Johnson was also running up there with James Kerr. So all these guys had a great run last week at Nashville.
It sure did, and one name to keep an eye on this one is going to be Kyle Wimble. He was the runner-up in the truck race last season at Richmond. So they talk about putting somebody on the podium last year at this track. That's the guy that did it, and he might have a good shot here at repeating that, as he was pretty quick in practice as well.
To our next team, it's going to be Rev Racing, who's sitting there second in the team standings, and they're going to have the 7 machine of Lucas Lyons out there, the 15 of Michael Madden, who's going to be a contender tonight. Sean Jensick with 1 win to his name already in the 29 car, the 97 of Sean Kozier, as well as the 224 of Cody Riggs.
And a few of these drivers were actually doing some long runs during practice, and I also noticed that not many incident points to their name as well. So I think Rev'd is lined up to have a pretty solid night tonight if they can replicate what they were doing in practice.
We're going to go ahead and get to Next Level Motorsports. And like you mentioned, just 6 points behind Rev Racing. They have quite a nice team as well, with a few newcomers to SRN, but they're going to have their team captain, Michael York, sitting there in the 23 machine, Troy Techmeyer in the 32, Stan Carnathan in the 43, Brad Rivers in the 69, and Brad Herman in the 85.
And Brad Herman, one of our fastest drivers in practice, but somebody to definitely keep an eye on is going to be Michael York in the 23, sitting 30th in points at this point in time as we get to the halfway point in the regular season. He's going to have to make a move here pretty quick, and I think it's got to start tonight.
And we're going to go to Zuyos Racing, our 4th team sitting there in the team standings. A new team to SRN this season, but they are putting together some really good finishes with a really nice team. You see it there, Don't Feed the Animals. And their team captain is going to be Rob Yost Jr., who made the playoffs last season. And he has Blair Hallman, who's had a few top 5s already here in SRN. John Taylor in the 4 machine looking to get some momentum going. And then Dave Hughes Jr. in the 16, who's run really well, just some bad finishes to not show the results on the track. And Mike Mosby sitting there in the 99, who's just inside the cut, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that is the man on the bubble, so he's definitely got some work to do in the final half of this regular season. But if you're looking for somebody fast tonight, keep an eye on that 06, Blair Holloman, number 1 on the speed chart in practice.
Well, moving on, we're going to go ahead to our 5th place team, and that is going to be the team none other than Tank Racing. And, I always love this animation on here. Sean Griffith does a great job with it. But there you see Jacob Zala, the guy you were mentioning, looking to get some momentum going to make his way inside the cut in the 25 machine. The 26 of Josh Mueller, who's got some speed every week. The 63 of Bruce Amston. The 64 of Walt Lipicki. And rounding out their team, the 79 of Jeremy Duncan.
And they're looking pretty sporty tonight here in practice and as well as in qualifying. We still have about 3 minutes left in qualifying, but 3 of their drivers sitting inside the top 15, 2 of them, Zala and Mueller, inside the top 8 at this point in qualifying. So Tank Racing lined up to have a nice night at Richmond.
Moving on to our 6th team here in the team introductions. It's none other than the Do-Gooders, a team that likes to go out there and just have some fun. And there you see it, the 17 of Danny Setzer, the 24 of Taylor Smith, the 88 of Joseph DuPont, who's had some good runs this year, the 90 of Corey Knight, and a newcomer to the league last week, the 239 of Joey Farrell.
And right now, looking at the charts here in qualifying, Joseph DuPont sitting just inside the top 10. So the Do-Gooders trying to make that move up in the team standings, and as well as getting a couple of guys into that playoff contention. They do have one name in there as of now, but they do have a shot there with a couple sitting pretty close outside the cut.
Yeah, we'll have to follow that as the season moves on. Definitely can get some more guys inside the cut, but we'll have to see what they can do. But now moving on to our 7th team in those team standings, Brandon, it's your team, Stryker Motorsports, so take it away.
Yeah, and for Stryker, it's been a rough couple of weeks where just hasn't been able to get the finishes that some of their guys have really deserved here in this one. But tonight it's going to be the 1 of Matt Johnson, the 9 of Tevin Whitner, and the 71 of Travis Trevelyan. Don Milkowitz in the 33, Kevin Winker in the 42, not here tonight. So they're going to be running with just 3, and that puts the pressure on them tonight as they try to build up those points in the team standings.
Yeah, this is definitely a team that's starting to get that momentum going. So unfortunately for them, not going to be able to have all the guys out there tonight, but definitely some guys to watch out for as the season moves on. But now let's go ahead and move on to our final team here in the introductions, and it's Bobby Anderson Racing, one of the coolest animations out there, along with Tank Racing, and they like to raise the bar. And Brandon, they have put together quite a team here, looking to move up these standings as they became a team a little bit later on in the season. But you got the 18 of Bobby Anderson out there, playoff driver last year, along with the 48 of Evan Scott, the 54 of Jason Kratke, and the 55 of Michael Amenti, as well as the 87 of Andrew Harris. So this is a very, very talented team as far as trucks go.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier Andrew Harris, a top 5 driver from this race last season when we were at Richmond. I believe that was a playoff race as well. Or actually, sorry, it was earlier in the season. About this point in the season, apologies about that. But we were talking earlier about you don't want to face the hot team in the playoffs, and it's kind of, a big hockey guy. You always don't want to face the hot goalie. You don't want to face the team with all the momentum on their side. Bobby Anderson Racing could be that team that plays the spoiler in the playoffs because they formed late. They're going to be coming from behind in the team standings, so they could be forced into that 8 spot, but have a lot of speed and a lot of momentum to their name.
Yeah, so they could potentially be racing JBR if it comes down to that, and that would be a heck of a first-round matchup as far as the team championship playoff standings go. But now we are out there gritting up on the track for the Rich Get Richer 125. Let's go ahead and give you a rundown of tonight's guys out there. We're going to have Brad Herman on the pole with a 22.069. Blair Holloman just to his outside, about 600s off the pace. Sean Jensic going to be third, and Troy Techmeyer going to round out the top 4.
And in 5th is going to be the back-to-back race winner, Jonathan Byer, in the 66. Outside row 3 will be Bobby Anderson. So we got team owners in row 3. Evan Scott, also out of Bobby Anderson Racing, will be in 7th. And on the outside of row 4 will be Mike Mosby, our bubble driver, in the 99.
39th going to be Jacob Zala, that guy that you said needs to make up some ground to get inside the cut. So doing good as far as his starting position goes tonight. Landon Cardulo going to be starting 10th for Jonathan Byer Racing. Josh Mueller going to be in 11th with Jack Johnson rounding out our top 12. So Brandon, I always like to give you the floor when it comes to making the first pick of the night. Who do you got, bud?
Well, I mentioned earlier that a couple of your guys over at Rev'd were doing a great job of just putting some longer runs together in practice and looked very clean. And a clean truck is a happy truck at Richmond. And I'm going to go back in the field a little bit, which does make me nervous, but somebody that's kind of gotten into more and more form over the past few weeks after a surprisingly slow start is Michael Madden in the 15. And that's a bit of a familiar paint scheme as well on that truck. He went back to last season's look, just trying to get a little bit of that spark back when he won several races last season. I think he's got a good shot at doing that tonight.
I'll bring in our pit reporter, Landon Lacey, for a quick pick. Landon, who do you got tonight?
I know I told you guys earlier I was going to go with Jacob Zala, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I've been watching this guy the past couple weeks. He's moved from around the mid-30s in points all the way up to right outside the cut line, and I'm going to go with Evan Scott. Kind of a long pick. I don't exactly think he'll win the race, but this is one of his strongest racetracks, so I look to see him perform very well tonight.
Well, before the pace car peels off, I'll make my pick. I'm going to take that guy outside pole, the 06 of Blair Holloman tonight, seeing he has a lot of speed out there, but we are about... Oh, nope, I am wrong. We're going to take an extra lap around here. Not used to this short track racing, so now the pace car lights are off. I'm used to just us pacing one lap and then going green, but we will go around one more time. But yeah, I think this 06 has performed really well so far to this point in the season, and we've had a trend lately where some new teams or new guys have been getting a W, and I think that he is going to be the newest winner to the Speed Racing Network once it's all done here tonight, getting Zuyos Racing their first win as well. So we got our picks in, and we are about to get this pace car off the track as Brad Herman is pacing the field, and we will get this thing underway under the lights. A little bit different than last year as we were racing in the afternoon. It is nighttime in Richmond, and we are green for the Rich Get Richer 125. These guys battling heading into turn 1. Brad Herman going to likely be able to slide up in front of the 06, but no, 06 of Blair Holloman still there. He's going to give it to him for the time being and try to set himself up going into 3 and 4, but the top 4 or 5 single filing out for lap 1.
Got to tell you, really impressive.
Oh,
now, as I was saying it, yep. I was just about to say, we saw everybody doing a great job of keeping those cold tires away from spinning coming out of turn number 2, and then turn number 4 is where it bit the 35 of Jack Johnson. So a lot of that momentum has been going for Jonathan Byer Racing, and they're off to a tough start there with at least one of their trucks, possibly 2, because I think I saw Jonathan Byer slow on the apron as well.
He definitely was involved in that one as they were racing really close together. But let's go check out a Beer Street Journal rec replay, and you're going to see the tires just slip out from under him. getting Josh Mueller involved right there as well. Not really seeing where Jonathan Byer might have been involved in this, so he might be okay. Yeah, it's not Jonathan Byer involved in it. We saw another white... Oh, no, a little more extra action after what we saw there. Evan Scott getting involved in that a little bit. Not sure who got into the rear quarter panel of the 66 there, but might have been Jacob Zala here in the 25. Gets in a little bit hot going into turn 1 and turns our back-to-back winner here the last 2 weeks. So Jonathan Byer going to have a lot of work ahead of him to get up front if he wants to make it 3 in a row.
And that's the big fear that drivers will have here, because you got two different styles. You can brake pretty deep into these turns and be pretty aggressive going in, as we see that being a solo truck spin, and that's common here with the cold tires. But the big fear is what we saw there with the 66 and the 25. You can get deep into these turns and be pretty aggressive and still make it stick pretty decent, but there's going to be a lot of drivers that are going to try to be conservative and save as much tires as possible, because it's a short track. You want to keep all that grip, and they're going to be backing off going into the turn a lot earlier. So you can get a lot of drivers just kind of crossing that path up, and that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of these incidents going into the turn.
Yeah, and I was really surprised to see, initially I was really surprised to see the caution come out for Jack Johnson sitting in the grass, but that all makes sense now with Jonathan Byer getting turned by Jacob Zala, because typically when the car is not in the path of traffic, it will not throw a caution out, but that was the case there as the 66 got a little bit of help going through turn 1. But yeah, you mentioned saving tires, and that's exactly what these drivers are going to have to do tonight, because I'm fairly certain that this is a one-stop race for these guys. So they're going to have to go a long time on this set of tires, and whoever's the best at saving them is going to come away with either a win or a great finishing position tonight.
And if it follows the flow of what we've seen a lot this season, not only in the trucks, but in the Xfinity and Cup as well, we could be seeing something where there's a lot of cautions early on in the race, and then it opens up to a long green flag run. And if you're not saving your tires early, even if it feels like we're getting a lot of quick cautions, which is very possible based on what we just saw, and you're thinking, all right, we're just going to have a bunch of short runs, I don't really have to save these tires, and then you get absolutely snake bit by that long green flag run, which could show up at any point, really. And that can really set you back and set you deep into the field.
Absolutely. So definitely something these guys are going to have to pay attention to as this race unfolds. Hopefully we get some good green flag action tonight, but man, it is one of the hardest tracks on the circuit, in my opinion, just because it is so deceiving. These tires will just spin out right from under you, exiting 4 and 2 is not as, it's not as hard, but it's almost just as hard as far as the car getting loose on you. But then you got to deal with the wall right to your outside as well. So definitely a tricky track, Brandon, that I am not looking forward to getting out to tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where if you do anything a fraction of an inch different with the wheel or with the throttle, it just really wants to mess with you, and it's hard to predict what's going to happen sometimes, and you can't really get consistent on driving off the same rate. It's just a weird track that likes to jump out and get you.
Very hard to get comfortable at, and I have to imagine that's what these drivers are struggling with right now. They're not at all comfortable with the way this track is racing, and they are only on lap 7 of tonight's race, but the pace car is off, and we're going to go back to green flag action as Brad Herman is underway here. He is going to get out to a big lead, and Sean Jensick going to be following right behind him, going to be able to get by Blair Holloman. So Sean Jensick moves up to second. Jacob Zala now looking to the inside of Blair Holloman. So Blair Holloman losing a lot of positions on this restart.
Yeah, he had some wheel spin once we got started there. You can see that truck kind of rock back and forth just a little bit as they were getting up to speed, and that cost them a good probably 5 miles an hour or so in trying to get up to speed, and that really cost them those positions. You see him already back a good second behind Brad Herman.
Well, we got by that lap, so these guys starting to get it down as far as the grip level goes for the cold tires out here. But Brad Herman making it look easy right now, pulling away to a big lead right now. A battle between the 88 of Joseph DuPont and the 55 of Michael Minty right here. Good battle on the track, but a lot of single file action. Michael York trying to stick his nose in there as well. And just behind them, Kyle Wimble and Lucas Lyons side by side. So the action starting to heat up And as we're already talking about Lucas Lyons, we'll go ahead and talk about something special that he is running here this week. And it's a special set of wings there you see for Christopher B. Clary, a good friend of his that he knows who lived right next to the track here at Richmond, who unfortunately took his life back in 2011. So wanting to show some support for him and his family and friends. And he has up to, I believe it said before we started, 18 different trucks out here tonight running this decal. And we are under caution. I just wanted to go ahead and give that guy a shout out for putting together such a great cause.
Absolute respect there for that move. Always just a touching tribute there. Hopefully he has a good race in the process as well, just to kind of do a little bit more even to honor a friend. And really cool seeing the truck series come together and about half the field running that decal. Very nice touch from everybody in the league as we take a look back at what brought out the caution here with the Beer Street Journal rec replay, and it looks like might have had a blinking issue, so we might not be able to see it. And it looks like it was Brad Yonkman who has disconnected from the race in the process. So I think that's where this all came from.
Fortunately there, yeah, sometimes when we get the blink outs, we can't really see what happened, but we can see exactly who was involved. And that's going to be Brad Yonkman there in the 93. And I believe we saw Jeremy Duncan in the pits as well. But yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to get exactly what came to bring out the yellow for that second caution. But we are back under yellow here at Richmond. This is definitely some short track racing.
Yeah, and that was a solid run, actually. These drivers only had one full lap under green the first time, and that was on those cold tires, so they still really didn't have a great feel of what that truck was going to feel like going side by side. And we saw some pretty decent side-by-side racing here on those still relatively fresh tires and relatively cold tires because of the caution coming out so soon. So I thought they did a great job there, and it looks like it's more of a single truck failure in a way that brought out that caution. So haven't really seen too much go awry here in terms of actual racing.
Well, I'm curious to see, and it doesn't look like anybody going to come down this time by to get a fresh set of tires. Definitely a call that would be a little bit of a risky call for these guys up front. But I definitely expected, from about 20th on back to, maybe just come down and get a clean set of tires to maybe help them move up in the field. But that is not what we saw, as nobody came down pit road that time.
Yeah, and you're still looking at, I would say, about 6 laps of green flag racing. I think everybody knows that track position is going to be a little too important. If they had any damage in the checkups from that first caution, that would be a great time, obviously, to be coming in and possibly getting that looked at and corrected without having to use the fast repair. I'm not too certain that anybody else really needed to come in just yet, because then you're just going to have to go right back on those cold tires. There's not many laps being put on them already. I think it's not too much of a surprise to only see a couple drivers actually make their way in.
A little bit of a longer caution here tonight, as the pace car likes to stay out for a little while to get the things cleaned up on the track. But let's go ahead and give you a rundown of our top 10 as they run on lap 16. Brad Herman going to be in first place. Jacob Zala to his rear going to be coming up here in second place, already moving up 7 positions after he started 9th. And then Sean Jensick going to be third. Blair Hallman, who started outside the pole, falling back to 4th. Landon Cardulo, who started 10th, up to 5th already. And then sitting there in 6th, the 32 of Troy Techmeyer. So good to see him having a good run this week. Dave Hughes Jr. going to be in 7th place. Bobby Anderson going to be in 8th place in that awesome Gravedigger car. Michael Madden, your pick, Bobby, or Brandon, excuse me, sitting there in 9th, up 7 positions already. And rounding out the top 10, going to be Mike Mosby in the 99 Flavor Bomb machine.
Yeah, and noticed you mentioned the Gravedigger paint scheme up there. I would notice Troy Techmeyer's truck. Not too used to seeing him without the Nebraska Cornhusker colors. He's going LA Dodgers today, and it might be working for him there. The Dodgers having a good season, and he's having a good race in those colors tonight.
Exactly what he needs to turn the momentum around after some bad races here recently, but definitely looking good so far. sitting there in 6th, started 4th, so falling back a couple positions, but still running up there nonetheless. Pace car is off. Brad Herman is away, gets another great restart. Sean Jensic going to be right behind him, going to clear Jacob Zala easily. Landon Cardulo looking to move up into the 3rd place position.
That was a textbook perfect restart from Brad Herman, who jumped out there to a good-sized lead. And Bobby Anderson in that Gravedigger truck up against the wall coming down the back straightaway. He's falling a few positions. And now we got trouble in turn 4. One sideways into the wall, but they're going to stay green to this point as everybody keeps it going.
It is scattered out like crazy coming through the front stretch. Very surprised to not see a big one there, but everybody keeps it going straight. We're still green here coming around turns 3 and 4 to take lap 20. Jacob Zala able to get back around Sean Jensic for 2nd. So Sean Jensic going to fall back to 3rd with Landon Cardulo. We're back under yellow. Bobby Anderson, Stan Carnathan, Walt Lipicki. I'm not sure who I saw go down pit road, but that's 3 out of the 4 guys here.
Yeah, I think it was Travis Trevelyan had to go down pit road to avoid that one, possibly picking up a little damage in the process. But that was a ticking time bomb, I think, after what we saw a lap earlier in 3 and 4. With that field getting real scattered, I think that was only a matter of time before we saw some contact. And we'll kind of take a look back at it. Beer Street Journal Rec Replay. And for the 3rd time tonight, they'll remind you to please drink responsibly.
Following Bobby Anderson here to see exactly what happened. Looks like Walt Lipicki gets in real deep and gets into the rear quarter panel, turning Bobby Anderson and getting Stan Carnathan involved. And yeah, like you said, Travis Trevelyan just nowhere to go, having to go down pit road to avoid hitting those water barrels. But yeah, that was just Walt Lipicki getting in way too hot into turn 3 and just nowhere to go with that 64 truck, and unfortunately taking out the 18 and getting that 43 involved as well.
Yeah, and that was a super aggressive drive into turn 3, and it almost looked like he might not have been able to stick it. Yeah, he was already sideways trying to get on the brakes to slow that down. So just a super late entry there, and unfortunately it picks up a few other drivers. Tip of the cap to the 4 of John Taylor, who got slowed up just enough to miss that wreck. He did lose some positions in the process, but kept that truck clean from picking up any damage. That's a great job of getting slowed up.
3rd caution of the night already, coming around to take lap 23 under caution. And Brandon, are you getting excited for tomorrow?
Oh my. Well, we got no fast repairs tomorrow, so that, hopefully kind of gets everybody a little bit calm. But yeah, based on what we've seen tonight and based on what we've seen when it comes to short track racing in general, and not just here, but really any league and really official races as well, everybody just knows, you're going to have a lot of caution laps. There's going to be limited opportunities to make some passes, and everybody just gets real aggressive real early. And that kind of leads to these kind of situations that we're seeing.
While we're under yellow, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to everybody out there in the chat. We have 40 people watching right now on YouTube, so we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Got a few shout outs. Julie Madden cheering on Michael Madden. And we got Joel P. cheering on Cody Riggs, saying, let's go, Cody. Jessica Duncan cheering on Jeremy Duncan, saying, good luck, 79. I love you. And then we got Jaybird tuning in as well, saying, go Zala, number 25. Run him down, baby. And he has a good eye on Brad Herman right now, sitting just to his rear in 2nd place. So if you guys like what you're seeing, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That way you always know when we go live here at Speed Racing Network.
Yeah, always appreciative of all the support from everybody that tunes in, whether they're drivers in another league that are in the Xfinity or the Cup Series that are just tuning in to see what's going on, or anybody that's cheering on anybody that's in the race. Always appreciative of that support, and we know that there's a lot of people that are consistently tuning in every single week, and that means a lot to us.
As it really does mean a lot to us and our sponsors. So thank you again for doing just that. But I believe we're going to be going 2 by 2 by 2 through the field. Pace car lights are off. We're going to get this grid, gridded back up, I guess I should say, and get ready to go back to some green flag action. But right now, class of the field seems to be the 85 machine of Brad Herman, able to get a really good jump on the field when that green flag drops, and it's really setting him above everybody else.
Yeah, he's jumping out to a good 0.3, 0.4 of a second lead before they even get to turn one. I think at some point you're going to get enough cautions that people might catch on to some tendencies, though. He's been jumping pretty quick, and I think at some point he's going to have to start working on changing that and coming up with different ways to attack these restarts.
His car is off. He's going to be attacking another restart right here. And not as good as his previous ones. Jacob Zala able to keep up with him a little bit better this time. Sean Jensic not able to get as far up on Jacob Zala as he has been. So Jacob Zala going to get a good run off of 2 here, be able to clear Sean Jensic. Cardulo getting a good run off of 2 as well. Probably going to be able to clear Jensic for 3rd after turns 3 and 4. Taking a look back in the fields. Thought we saw something back there, but not the case. And we're single file 1st through 5th.
I got distracted. I thought I heard somebody spinning in my ears there, but apparently not, as we still keep going. And Brad Herman getting this field kind of spread out single file all the way back through the top 10, if not a little bit farther than that. And I think everybody's starting to realize that if you're going to want to win the race or get a top 5 or a top 10, you got to make it to the end of the race. And maybe we're starting to see these guys calm down just a little bit and kind of settle into the pace.
It does take a little while sometimes in short track, man. It's just a totally different way of racing. So these guys not having a short track to this point in the season, definitely an adjustment as far as that goes, especially coming from a great race at Nashville last week. But on board, Troy Techmeyer falling back to 10th place now after checking in with him and not too long ago. He was up to 6th and now lurking almost outside the top 10 as Michael York, his teammate, is on the inside of that 32 machine.
And this is a good showing for Michael York. It's been a bit of a struggle this season, and just getting that complete race. And you see him just outside the top 10, riding in 11th, right behind his teammate there in Troy Techmeyer in the 32. And for Michael York, there's a lot of talent there. And it's just kind of getting those races put together. He's sitting 30th in the point standings right now, and definitely needs to get some momentum going. And tonight might be a good start towards that.
Checking in on Josh Mueller. He just got a shout out in the chat. Zachary Bergeson, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, saying Josh Mueller taking 1st place tonight. He's calling it now. So we got 94 laps to go in the race, and he's making the bold claim that Josh Mueller is just going to take this thing. And you know what? Josh Mueller having a good run after being involved in an incident early. That truck looking very clean. So definitely no aero damage to the truck. He could definitely get up there. Plenty of time to do that. So checking in on the front now, Brad Herman not pulling away as much as we thought he would be. You know, last couple of restarts, he was really getting out on these guys. Only a 0.6 gap between him and Jacob Zala, and Landon Cardulo just lurking a second back. So this top 3 starting to pull away from the rest of the field. We're back under yellow, 4th caution of the night.
That's some pretty heavy damage there to the nose of the 87 of Andrew Harris. Looks like we got James Kerr involved. I think I see a little bit of back damage to Mosby as well, and also in the 69 of Rivers. So we're seeing a few trucks here get caught in what looks like a little bit of a stack up, but we'll take a glance at our 4th Beer Street Journal Rec replay of the night.
Find out exactly what happened here, but that's some heavy damage, like you said. That will affect you. Usually damage not going to affect you too much in short track racing. See it up here with the 69, I believe, as Brad Rivers. We'll have to try and get on board with him, see exactly what caused him to get a little checked up going into 3 and 4. Josh Mueller, we were just talking about him in the front. Oh, Josh Mueller gets into Mike Mosby, I think.
Yeah, that was Mosby that got slowed up, and that answers how he got the rear damage. And it was the front damage to the 69 came from being the person that gave that rear damage to the 99. As you see that 2 drivers just going for the same spot. Lucas Lyons picking up some damage as well in that stack up that happened there in 3 and 4. And it's just 2 drivers going for the same piece of real estate on the entry of turn 3. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where it's 2 different driving styles. You can go deep, or you can kind of be a little bit conservative and just kind of take a different angle into the turn. A little bit of net code there kind of helped them out a little bit in that one, and kind of getting that turned around on everybody. But still, that's just kind of one of those things in short track racing. There's different ways to attack it, and they both kind of went for that same spot at the same time.
Old friend Uncle Netcode paying a visit to us tonight, and I have a feeling that's not going to be the last time we hear from him, as it's very tight quarters racing here at Richmond Raceway. But that is the beauty of short track racing, and we're getting a full dose of it tonight. So, no hard feelings between these guys. It's just very, very tight racing, so they're going to get those trucks repaired on pit road. Luckily, not too much damage. But yeah, I think we just kind of cursed him there a little bit, as we were just talking about Josh Mueller, and he was involved in that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a bit ago. We mentioned Bobby Anderson's paint scheme, and he kind of got into the wall there after that restart. We mentioned Troy Techmeyer, and he started sliding back a little bit. And then we mentioned Josh Mueller, and then he was caught up in that one. So at this point, I'm not sure we need to mention anybody's name. I'm not sure how we get away with that, though.
Well, on board Kyle Wimble, you can see he's got a little bit of front-end damage to that RacingJunk.com Toyota Tundra. So that is that's a pretty decent amount of damage there on the front end. But I don't think it's going to affect him too much, and I honestly do not think that's going to be the last bit of damage to that 3 truck as far as the rest of the field goes too. I mean, there's going to be a lot of damage tonight, but Kyle Wimble already up 13 positions, started 22nd up to 9th, and a few other big movers to this point. Going to be Michael York up 9 positions after starting 20th, sitting just outside the top 10, and then James Kerr is also moved up 15 positions, started 29th up to 14th, and we saw the guy that was involved not too long ago, Andrew Harris, started 35th. He's up to 19th. So big movers on the night, and I'm surprised to see the 87 not come down pit road just yet to get a little bit of that fix. But there you have it. I mean, it's short track racing. It's not going to affect him too much.
No, it won't be too bad. I think you're going to have to look at some pretty significant damage for it to really affect how the truck wants to handle around this track. And as always, you can just kind of slow up just a little bit and get away with it if it is having some issues in handling. And you're not going at such a high speed around here that it'll cost you a whole lot of time.
There you see it, pace car lights are off. We are going to get back to some green flag action after we get through turns 3 and 4. Not too much a difference or change up front. Brad Herman, Jacob Zala on your front row. Landon Cardullo now restarting 3rd, and Sean Jensick in 4th. But we're back to some green flag action. Brad Herman not getting nearly as good a jump here. Landon Cardullo might have a look to the inside of the 85. We might have a new leader here at Richmond, but the 85 going to get a big run off of 2, I imagine, be able to clear this 13, I think.
Not a lot of grip on the outside, though. As you saw him kind of struggle to get that momentum going on that high line like we typically see. In the 13 of Landon Cardullo trying to take a look, and we got a hard one into the wall as it's Blair Holloman and John Taylor, I believe that is in the 4, that came in after, and that's some heavy damage to both trucks. Rear damage for the 06, he might be able to get away with that, but some heavy nose damage to the 4.
You're going to have an opportunity here to check out our 5th Beer Street Journal Rec Replay. Please drink responsibly, and they are getting their money's worth tonight with some short track racing here at Richmond Raceway. You're going to see it here. Blair Holloman just sends it in there a little bit too deep. Actually gets a little help from Kyle Wimble there. Sets him up into the wall, and then anywhere to go for John Taylor coming in hot. Not sure. Yeah, he net-coated into the 06, but yeah, seeing smoke come out of the engine there for the 4. So definitely registering some damage, but no actual physical damage to the truck, it looked like.
And we were just talking about the 3 having that damage with the left front and that hole that was actually there. Nice job by Bobby Anderson getting out of that, but I think Anderson slowing up and the 4 of Taylor being right behind him. I don't think Taylor knew where the 06 of Holloman was. And so when Anderson missed, yeah, that's exactly what that looked like there, as we see some extra activity there with Jack Johnson getting turned around for the 2nd time tonight in the follow-up of that. So we had 4 trucks involved in this one. And the big story after that caution is going to be we're seeing pit road action for the first time tonight for several drivers, but not all of them.
Yeah, definitely surprised to see that. Landon, wouldn't you think that these guys would possibly make a little bit of a different strategy call, just kind of like following the trend of the race to give some fresh tires, maybe be a little bit faster than everybody out there?
I mean, we saw most of the front guys come in. From what I was watching down here on pit road, that most of them took 4. A lot of the guys I'm looking like at Jonathan Byer. He came down that last caution, as well as Taylor Smith and some of these guys that stayed out. They came down the last caution before this one, so they still relatively have some fresh tires. So I think it was a good move. Again, Jonathan Byer making a good strategy move to try to get ahead of these leaders.
Yeah, we'll pay attention, see how it works out for these guys. But yeah, that's definitely something that's been paying off for Jonathan Byer and his team, staying out on a little bit different strategy as far as pit road goes. And we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if it does pay off for Jonathan Byer again. But the one paying off the most for JBR going to be James Kerr. He's going to be at the point starting in first on this next restart. But Brandon, it could be a little bit of a difference, after starting mid-pack the whole race and then having the field in your hands. It could be a little sketchy with the tires, not knowing exactly how hard to get on the gas, being the guy with the decision on when to go. It can get a little dicey out there.
Yeah, and I'm not only thinking about that, I'm thinking about the fact that he's got some heavy damage there to the nose as well, so I'm not sure how well that truck's going to be handling. He was making some moves through the field and picking up some spots, so he's got some comfort level, but it's a little bit different when you're not in any, not much of a draft, but the air effect there, being behind somebody, now he's going to have all that air hitting the nose, and I'm wondering if he's had that feel in that truck and knows how it's going to respond.
Yeah, so the new top 5 going to be James Kerr, Evan Scott, Bobby Anderson, Taylor Smith, and Jonathan Byer. So a little bit of a different look out here. This could pay dividends if the yellow trends do keep up here tonight, but we'll have to see exactly what happens. Brad Herman, he is a little bit ways back there, restarting 11th this time, so he's going to have some work to do to get back up to the point. But we're about to see this pace car peel off. There he goes. Fields in James Kerr's hands. And he's going to get going here and gets a good jump for, first time out in front. He's going to get a good jump on the 48, get about 2 car length. Evan Scott, though, not going to let him get away.
No, but that was a rather clean restart there so far with everybody on these different strategies throughout the top 10. Kind of caught me a little bit off guard how smooth that looked through 1 and 2. And looks like we're going to see pretty much the same in 3 and 4 at the front, but we do have one turned around and against the wall in 4, and now against the inside wall. I believe that's Trevelyan in there. That's an 87 bouncing around, I think, of Andrew Harris.
We're still green. How a caution did not come out is beyond me. That is absolutely insane. That's one of the biggest wrecks we've seen all night, but they're still green here. And there's a battle for the lead as Evan Scott looking to the inside. We got a truck smoking on the inside. I believe that's Andrew Harris. Yeah, but we got a battle up here. It's getting tight. James Kerr, Evan Scott, Taylor Smith, another one wrecking. I believe the caution is out now, and that'll be the 6th caution of the night. Realistically, that should be the 7th, but they're in turns 1 and 2 here. I believe it might be Kyle Wimble. Not too sure. We're going to have to go and find out exactly who was involved. But yeah, that happened in turns 1 and 2 this time. But let's go ahead and check out our 6th Beer Street Journal wreck replay of the night.
Yeah, we saw Barney the flagman going pretty emphatic with that caution flag, and that's the 6th time already. As we see, it looked like Madden and Trevelyan. Oh, hard contact for Madden and Trevelyan both. And there's Andrew Harris kind of bouncing up and then just kind of skipping like a rock on a pond there for a second as he finally got upside down. But amazingly enough, he continued to go rolling forward, even though that engine was smoking at that point. So he's probably going to have to use a fast repair. Definitely will have to. I think we're seeing a lot of trucks having to do that. Man, Jack Johnson, again, the 3rd time he's caught up in something tonight. Pretty sure he's already used that fast repair. This is going to be a tough one.
This is the 2nd thing that brought out the caution. A little surprised that the first incident didn't bring it out, but yeah, right there, Danny Setzer getting into the 29 of Sean Jensick and Walt Lepicki, nowhere to go. And that's the one that actually brought out the caution as opposed to the first one we checked in on. So iRacing falling asleep a little bit as far as that first incident goes. But yeah, right here, you see it again, the 17 getting into the rear quarter of the 29. Kind of a trend we're seeing here tonight, and that's just all it takes. These trucks already don't need any help to get turned around, but that's not going to help anymore.
No, not at all. And we mentioned there that this time it brought out the caution. The first one wasn't a caution. Important to note, it is controlled by iRacing. It's not controlled by the league admins on that caution being thrown. So iRacing felt that everything kind of settled down to the inside and off the racing surface, I suppose, and decided not to set that caution off. But then. We kind of took care of that there about a half lap later in 1 and 2.
Well, we're going to have to gather ourselves after that crazy lap that last time by on under green. All kinds of action happening out there on the track. These guys yet to get it sorted out and really get a good green flag run. But right now, James Kerr is liking what he's seeing because that is just going to tick these laps off even more. And he has the point right now sitting in first. Evan Scott was really giving him a run for his money there that time by. But Jonathan Byer going to be sitting just behind his teammates, so I have to imagine they're going to be working together on this restart. But Brad Herman sitting there in fifth. He's already worked up his way 6 spots on that last restart. Not too far behind him, Landon Cardullo already back up to 7. So the guys that were running up front starting to filter their way back to where they were.
Yeah, it was 6 spots gained for both Herman and Cardullo in that short, about 3-lap run that we had there after that restart. Jacob Zala picking up a few spots as well. Not quite as much, but he had to do a little bit more work through the traffic there. But all 3 of them, 3 of our fastest trucks to this point, working their way back into the top 10 after this pit strategy, kind of caught them back in the field a little bit.
Yeah, so they're going to have to take it easy as they're trying to get back to where they were, but still not as much time as they would like to get up to that spot where they were running, because we have just been plagued with cautions this whole race. As you see it, this is the 6th caution of the night. Pace car going to need to go get some more fuel potentially, as it is getting a workout out there for the Rich Get Richer 125. But there you see the pace lights are off on the car. We're going to go back to green flag action, and James Kerr is going to be getting on that loud pedal here to try and break away from the field like he did last time. And here we go. We are under green, and there you see it. Gets a nice restart again. Evan Scott and Taylor Smith going to be battling for that second place position, and Brad Herman looking to the inside of Jonathan Byer there, already up to 4th.
Consider me impressed on that restart by James Kerr, because I thought I saw him get a little bit squirrely once he got onto the throttle, but kept that thing straight and pulled away in a hurry. So he jumped out to about a 0.4 of a second lead, but now being on the oldest tires, in fact, he's the only one still on the original set of tires, I believe. He's starting to get chased down by Taylor Smith, who came in about 10 laps before most of everybody else in the field.
Brad Herman taking a look to the inside of Taylor Smith this time through turns 3 and 4. Going to set his sights on James Kerr as we are having this field start to sort itself out. Hopefully get a little bit of a green flag run here. That'll really help the 85 Brad Herman kind of get away from everybody, because his next closest opponent with fresh tires is going to be that 13 of Landon Cardullo sitting back there in 6th place. So he's going to really have to work to get past these cars on older tires. His teammate Jonathan Byer kind of blocking the way for him right now, but Brad Herman taking a look to the inside of that 75, and I have to imagine he will be the leader after this set of turns.
And that was a nice patient job there. He probably could have forced the issue about a half lap ago going into turn 3, decided not to, knew that the tire conditions were going to be in his favor, and he could take his time just a little bit in setting that up, as we got a little bit of a 4 wide behind coming out of turn number 4, but everybody getting it going there, and no harm, no foul, despite 4 wide out of turn 4.
Make you breathe a little heavier than you were seeing that in front of you, but there they sorted it out. Evan Scott hard into the inside wall, and all these guys going to have to scatter. I believe he towed just in the nick of time to get out of the way, because everybody was kind of bunched up there with nowhere to go. Would have caused a lot more damage, so kudos to the 48 on really getting out of the way. I know it's got to be hard to do that because that's going to be a time penalty to tow back to the pit box, but a great move by Evan Scott to kind of get out of the way of everybody. But let's go ahead and check out our 7th Beer Street Journal Rec Replay gets into the wall, I think, on the outside, and then nowhere for Cardulo to go. You just see everybody just have a heart attack right in front of them, nowhere to go. But I believe what we're going to see here is the 48 kind of get into the wall, I think, a little bit on the outside. No, 13 of Cardulo, and they get into his rear quarter panel. So I think the 13 wasn't expecting to have as big a run as he was going to have on the 48 here. Let's see again from another angle. Gets loose, I think, a little bit, has to check up, and nowhere for the 13 to go, right into the rear of the 48.
Yeah, I think that's more that Jonathan Byer might have thought he was completely clear there, and technically he was, but I think when he slid up, the 48 of Evan Scott kind of checked up that little bit, and that's what kind of sent him back towards the 13. That was just a little accordion effect there, and then that caused that one. But like you pointed out, that's a big tip of the cap to the 48 for towing out, taking that penalty. When you have to do a tow on iRacing, for those that aren't familiar, it's going to take where you are on the track, and it's going to give you a pretty heavy time penalty. From there, you're probably looking at about a minute and a half from about halfway around the track before any repairs can even start. Should you have a fast repair, it'll just kind of bump you right back out there. But that's a big thing that he did there by sacrificing that just to get out of the way.
Absolutely. So kudos again to Evan Scott. Unfortunately, his night is going to be almost all but over, essentially. It's going to be a few laps down. But still, if he has a fast repair, he will be able to get that truck fixed. We'll have to tune into that as the race unfolds. But yeah, it's just, this race being plagued with caution so far. It's just, a lot of good cars are going to start getting torn up tonight, and that's exactly what we're seeing. But one that's not torn up so far is the 85 of Brad Herman.
He has been smooth and he has been fast all night, and really impressed with how, it's one thing to be out front and stay out front. It's another thing to be back outside of the top 10 and then make your way back up to the front in quick progression like he did. And he also showed a lot of patience there as well in the process, knowing that he had the freshest tires of those that he's the first driver with the freshest tires, I should say, or the lead driver with the freshest tires. So he kind of had everything in his favor, as well as just being super quick around this track tonight. Took his time and still very quickly made his way back up to the front.
Olenik Cardulo is going to have to really make haste here and keep up with the 85. He's shown that he had the speed to really battle Brad Herman for the lead before those rounds of pit stops occurred. Sitting back there in fourth now, has a few more cars to get around, but still has the speed, like I said, to make it an interesting race. We're going to get it gridded back up to go green once again and see exactly how this unfolds. And this strategy getting all sorts of mixed up, 24 and 66 on older tires, 85 and 13 on fresher tires. And from there on back, I honestly don't know anymore. I think from there on back, I think the only two people on old tires are Taylor Smith and Jonathan Byer. The next one going to be Lucas Lyons and Jason Kratky and Joseph Farrell back in 13th and 14th. So for the most part, all these guys up here in the top 10 on fresh tires. So we'll have to see how they work around Taylor Smith and Jonathan Byer here. But we're going green again. And there you see Brad Herman gets a good restart this time after they were starting to figure him out on prior restarts. And he's going to get a big gap on the field.
Yeah, and that also helped out by the tire differential. Granted, there's not a whole lot of green flag laps on them, but they were older tires starting second and third with Smith and Byer, and that just kind of helped him out just a little bit more. And caution yet again. And the 23 of Michael York snake bit again. So he's up against that inside wall, getting it going back straight. But another rough moment there this season for the driver of the 23, and it's our 8th Beer Street Journal wreck replay of the night as we just get past halfway.
So there you have it, trending towards 16 cautions on the night. And there you see Michael York getting into, I believe that was Jason Kratky in the 54. I have to get a better angle of exactly who that was. Oh, I believe it might be the 64 of Walt Lipicki instead. Walt Lipicki just really slow on the exit. Michael York thought he might be clear, I'm assuming, and he was not. And that's a big hit for the 23 there.
Big hit for the 23 and the 4. I think I also saw I don't mean to laugh, but I think I saw Jack Johnson get caught up in this one in the follow-up again. And that one, yeah, I mean, there's a look at the 35. There's fourth time involved in a caution tonight for Jack Johnson. And man alive, that's a rough night there for the 35. But yeah, on that one, I mean, Michael York ran a pretty solid line there. It looked like he was leaving a good amount of space and just didn't know that Lepicki was going to be that far off the wall and kind of being a little bit shallow coming out of turn 2.
No fast repairs for the 23. Going to have a lot of damage on that truck. But yeah, he's going to have to really keep it going if he's trying to get inside the cut. We saw him sitting in 30th in the points with about a 40-point gap between him and the bubble, Mike Mosby. So not the night Michael York was looking for. And this is the part of the season where you really got to start stringing together some good finishes to really make a push to make those playoffs. And that is not going to be the case tonight for Michael York unless he can get a little bit of help with a few other guys dropping out of tonight's race.
He's still on the lead lap unless he just went a lap down. I think he got out there ahead of everybody, though. So there's been some stranger things. As you see him he's still on the lead lap, sitting in 30th place. So Michael York keeping it out there, lead lap. Who knows what can happen, as we've already seen 8 cautions in the first half of this race. Who knows what will happen here, and maybe he'll get some help from the rest of the field.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can pick up a few more spots. And that's what you got to do. Keep going, whether it's been a tough night for you or not. You see Jack Johnson, who's been involved in just about every incident, it seems. He is still out there trying and digging to get his way into the playoffs, and that's what these drivers are racing for. Granted, it's only Week 7. Week 13 will be the cutoff for the playoff field. So, we are getting closer to the end of the regular season. Every point is gonna make a difference. So they are gonna have to stay out there and get everything they can. And with the trend of the race so far, anything is possible at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the pace of about 5 laps every caution. We've had 8 cautions over the first 64 laps, so you're looking at 3 laps of green flag run before we have any trouble out on the track. So anybody that's wanting to make a move, they're going to have to do it pretty quick, and unfortunately that's just going to ramp up the aggression a little bit more, and this might start compounding on itself.
Well, I want to give a little shout out to one of your striker teammates, Brandon. Tevin Whitner sitting in the 14th position, having a fantastic night in that 9 truck after starting 38th on the night. So definitely doing what he needs to do to get that truck and get some big points for him and his team. But we're back under green flag conditions. Brad Herman going to get a nice jump. Landon Cardulo right to his outside now. He's going to have his work cut out for him in that 85 as Landon Cardulo has shown the speed. Now he's just got to get by him.
And I know we want to see a nice long green flag run here, but nobody wants to see that more than those 2 trucks out in front because they have just been so fast and able to pull away in these short spurts that we've had of green flag racing. I think if they get a long run of 20, 30, 40 laps, if that could happen, they would really check out from the field.
Got someone going through the infield grass. Danny Setzer hard into the inside wall. Going to come back up on the track, but I don't think there's going to be anybody to make contact with as he is far behind the field now. But we're 3 wide between somebody. I can't really see who from the blimp cam. A little further back in the pack. They were 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. It is super racy out there right now. Tevin Whitner falling back a lot. Must not have had the restart he needed to keep that 9 truck up front. Oh, I believe that. Oh, Kyle Wimble and Cody Riggs getting into each other. Oh, and he gets into Josh Mueller. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one.
Parking lot in turn 4, and that's going to be a heavy one.
There were all sorts of trucks, and there he is again. Hey, Jack Johnson wasn't involved in that one. I saw him stop there, so kudos to the 35 that time by. So maybe his luck is turning around. But let's go ahead and check out our 9th Rec replay brought to us by Beer Street Journal. And there we saw Cody Riggs and Kyle Wimble getting into one another here and just kind of trying to save it. And Cody Rick's going to get into Josh Mueller, and then that's going to break them all apart, and everybody just gets collected here. You just see nobody really slowing down for all the cars sitting in front of them.
Let's see, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trucks, maybe a little bit more as we cut to another one. There's 8, 9, 10. You're looking at a good dozen trucks involved in this one. And the hard part with that was you saw those 2 trucks get sideways, and they almost blocked the entire field. As you see one down low, one in the middle. You had one up high, a little bit on the exit of 4 for a moment, and that just really blocked all the options. We saw Bruce Amston, James Kerr involved in this one. I don't think we caught them on the first look. They were in the infield grass just about. So watch Rob Yost out of Zoo Yost Racing working his way through that. Great job by Yost in the 98.
Yeah, the 97 of Sean Kozer. We'll go on board with him right here. This car takes a ride. We'll go on board. He's going to get shoved into the water barrels here and then just get hit by somebody else and then hit by somebody else, and then he's on his roof. He took a ride this time by. Not sure if that truck had any power left to get back to pit road for some repairs. So that could be a tow for the 97 and adding some time onto that pit stop. So unfortunate for him. He's had a really unlucky year in the 97 truck, looking to get it turned around next week at Pocono.
And we're starting to see a lot of trucks start going a lap down and getting some heavy damage, if not being done for the night. So if you're waiting for some green flag runs, it might start getting to that point because this field is starting to thin out here as the damage is really starting to accumulate.
Well, we'll have to see if these guys that already pitted about 35 laps ago can make it to the end. That would be roughly an 80-lap fuel run, so I believe that they are in the clear to just stay out there, keep their track position, and not have to come down once again. But that's not to say that, like you said, this field's starting to thin out, Brandon, meaning that, we could see some green flag runs here in the near future. So maybe someone's going to have the tendency to come down and get 4 fresh tires to set them above this 85 truck, because that 85 is showing some really good speed out there.
Yeah, and you know what I'll say? I think a lot of people might be thinking, please, let's get this green flag run in here. We want to see some good racing. We've seen it in these short spurts. We've had some side-by-side stuff that has worked. It's just getting aggressive, and we're seeing a lot of 3 wide attempts, and that's where we're getting a lot of the troubles. So let's get this thing going green, guys, a little bit longer, and I think we'll have some good racing.
Still plenty of time to have a good long green flag run as we're down to 50 laps to go. Now 49. Pace car lights off this time by, so we're going to get them gridded up to make another restart on the night. But, man, this has lived up to the short track reputation as far as, the style of racing that occurs. Just very tight quarter racing, and sometimes that's going to get people in trouble. That's exactly what we're seeing here tonight. So definitely some opportunities for people sitting outside the cut to make the move up and make it some points. Some really high running order right now for Michael Amenti. He's sitting 5th. Joseph DuPont sitting in 7th. Josh Mueller inside the top 10, sitting in 9th. Mike Mosby running 8th. So some guys definitely looking to get some points this week, doing just that. We're back under green flag conditions. Brad Herman gets another good jump. Lana Cardullo under attack from Jacob Zala on the inside. Probably going to have the run on that high side out of 2. So Lana Cardullo will likely clear Jacob Zala here. Jacob Zala going to fall behind him. And here we go. We're back to some 3 wide action in 3 and 4. This is getting real tight. And there they make contact. They keep it going, though.
Great job. 3 wide is not where you want to be at Richmond, but it is possible to pull off. You saw a little bit of door banging there in the process, but a great job from those 3 of keeping it going straight, keeping this thing green.
Right here, Brad Herman, Landon Cardullo, Jacob Zala, our top 3. Jonathan Byer, back-to-back winners in the previous weeks. He's sitting there in 4th. And then Michael Amenti having one of the best runs he's had here at Speed Racing Network, sitting there to round out the top 5 in that 55 machine. So we might be able to get a green flag run here, Brandon. How you feeling about it?
I'm not going to say anything just yet. I don't want to get this going a little bit longer before we throw out you-know-what into the picture from our aspect. But, yeah, I mean, this is a good sign here for the 85, starting to get a little bit clear, a little bit more of a gap there between he and the 13, as it's kind of held about 3/10, but he's getting that thing closer to 4/10. Just a slight difference there, but a little bit quicker, especially on exit of the turns. Looks like he's sacrificing a little bit going in. So check in on Bobby Anderson in the 18, running in 13th place. One of, let's say, a couple dozen drivers out there that's had a bit of an adventurous night out here around this 3/4 mile Richmond Raceway. See James Kerr right behind him as well after leading early.
Someone is slow back there. Oh, it's the 2:39 of Joey Farrell, able to keep it off of everybody else. But yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Brandon. I thought we were about to have our 10th caution of the night.
Well, the odds are in our favor on this one, as everybody keeps it going there. We've had a couple close moments, but still green, and that gap closing in a little bit. And kind of what I was saying, I think that the 85 just sacrificing on entry to get faster on exit and get that thing lined up, and he's really pulling away once he gets to the straightaways.
Yeah, this is really the only side-by-side action out there on the whole track. For the most part, everybody's single filing out. That's why I'm hopeful that we're going to see some green flag action here to close this race out on the Rich Get Richer 125. We're coming around. Next time by will be 40 laps to go. Here we go. Jacob Zala getting by Jonathan Byer. Actually, this is how they were running before we checked in. So Jonathan Byer doing a little bit of work on Jacob Zala, seeing if he can get by. Not able to do so. Michael Amenti losing some speed on the exit. Now going to be under attack from Troy Techmeyer back there. So some good racing here from 3rd through 6th.
That was a great save by Amenti, though. It caught the apron a little bit coming out of turn 2, and that really unsettled that truck. But did a great job of keeping that thing rolling straight and not losing too much time. And you see him already coming back up onto that back bumper of the 66, getting real hot into turn 3, but they're going to keep it going.
Really dicey there for a second. They are battling now because it is getting green here, and this is what they're seeing. So they're seeing those leaders pull away too. And just as I say that, we're under yellow for our 10th caution of the night. Not too sure where it is. I don't see anybody around on my blimp cam, so we're going to have to try and figure it out. I see a white truck that's off the pace.
I believe, guys, looking on the backstretch, I believe it was Cody Riggs off turn 2.
So we'll have to go back, see if we can find out exactly what happened here. Because like I said, from the blimp cam, I didn't see anything as far as that goes. But Landon with the good call might be Cody Riggs this time. Let's check a Beer Street Journal rec replay. Following him right here. Yep, it turned by, I believe, Andrew Harris there in the green truck. So might just be got a little loose on exit. And Andrew Harris thought he was going to clear him and just clipped the rear there.
And take another look. Definitely looks like some just slight contact there at a point where that truck really wants to get turned around pretty easily on exits of 2 and 4. And yeah, you see that little bit of a tap. And that's more on just the pace difference. It's not anything where it was just somebody being too aggressive. It was just that the 224 had to check up just a little bit. And here we go. Pit stops for some of our leaders, including Brad Herman, our race leader, on to pit road.
I believe everybody coming down this time, so it's getting busy, and they want those 4 fresh tires, which is probably not going to help the old caution problem that we're having, because these cold tires are super loose out here at Richmond, so we'll have to follow that when they go back to green flag racing. But Lucas Lyons making a strategy call potentially here. He is going to be our leader here tonight at Richmond, crossing the line to go to lap 90 here. And with the trend of the race, its potential, this could pay off.
It very well could, and we saw it last season in the Truck Series. We had a race where I fairly certain we had 0 pit stops for the race winner because of the amount of cautions that happened, and somebody could just stay out on old tires and hold off the field because the runs were so quick once we did throw that green flag. So if there's going to be enough trucks between the 7 of Lucas Lyons and anybody that's been up there contending for the top spot, as I'm looking through, Brad Herman is going to be 4th, so he's not going to have a whole lot of buffer there. So it might not work, but it's worth a shot there for Lucas Lyons, who was hanging around the top 10 before that caution came out.
It'll be really interesting to see exactly what happens, not only with Lucas Lyons, but this race between Brad Herman and Landon Cardulo that we've been following all night long, simply because Brad Herman is going to be starting on that outside lane. Landon Cardulo will be in the inside lane, granted the 3rd row back, but that inside line has its tendencies lately have been to get the better jump on the restart, so maybe Landon Cardulo can pull off a jump on Brad Herman to get ahead of him, and that could also be a race-winning move. So a lot of things could happen here. We'll have to see exactly what happens as we're down to 35 laps to go in this race. Cody Riggs waiting to get his lap back, but there's going to be our leader who's running, like we said earlier, a special tribute to a friend of his who used to live just outside this track, actually, Christopher B. Clary. And like we were saying, 18 trucks tonight running those wings. You see Jason Crackey just behind him on the hood has the same wings on the car. So a great tribute put on by Lucas Lyons tonight for a friend of Christopher Clary's. His friends and family love seeing this.
Yeah, very cool tribute there. And one thing, always hard to kind of transition away from that, but one thing that I did kind of notice here as we look at all the trucks running that decal, if you're worried about the tire difference for these leaders that are staying out, not too bad actually, as Lucas Lyons came in on lap 76, Jason Kratke on lap 74. So they came in on that last caution that came out, so they're not having the oldest tires out there by any means.
Lucas Lyons going to restart on the high side here, and it looks like it gets jumbled up quickly in the middle of this pack. They're scattering 5, 6 wide. This is not going to work. This is going to be very dicey heading into turns 1 and 2 here.
Oh, boy.
And we are back under yellow. Big wreck here in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
Doc Purr, Amston. See who else we got back there. It's a 43 of Stancar Nathan, Bobby Anderson in the 18. Oh, please tell me the 35 not in that one again. That would have been number 5 or 6.
Well, let's go ahead, check out, and see exactly who was involved in this 11th caution of the night. Beer Street Journal Rec Replay once again taking place. Yeah, we said this was not going to work. It was just scattered all over the place. Trucks everywhere. Mike Mosby getting in a little hot. He's going to come down and clip the 17 of Danny Stetzer. Washes up the track and gets James Kerr, Bruce Amston, and Stan Carnathan involved, as well as John Taylor. So a lot of trucks involved that time.
So saw a pretty hard right side impact for Jacob Zala in the 25. Danny Setzer, it looks like he was just off pace, trying to keep it as low as he could, and everybody just kind of piled in on him. And I mean, when you're going 5, 6 wide down the front stretch, you're going to run out of space in turn 1. We can pull off 3 wide. 4 wide has been attempted and didn't work. 6 wide, definitely not going to work.
Oh boy, well, we are getting our workout tonight as far as the Beer Street Journal Rec Replay goes. Another big one here at Richmond. Some big-time damage for the 18 of Bobby Anderson. You see the smoke coming out from under the hood. So I have to imagine his night is going to be done, among others as well involved in that. But right now, Lucas Lyons still sitting out in front. Brad Herman was able to pick up 2 spots on that restart. Was really surprised to see Lucas Lyons take the high side that time. I have to imagine he won't do it this time, seeing as he didn't get a big jump on anybody that time.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the reason on why that would have been the call, and I can't piece that one together. I was looking to see if there were teammates behind him or trying to get lined up for any particular reason, but I didn't notice anything like that. So maybe he just thought, I'm more comfortable on the outside. Maybe he was worried about spinning the tires a little bit on the inside. Not too sure. But, if he hangs on to the top 3, we'll get a chance to ask him at the end of this thing.
Yeah, the benefit to restarting on the inside here at Richmond, coming off the turn where the restart zone is, it's really hard for that second place truck to gauge and see your truck and where you're going. So I was really surprised to see him take the high line that time. We'll find out exactly what he's deciding to do when the pace car lights go off. But just to give you a rundown of your top 10 as we still have a few more laps to go. Lucas Lyons sitting out in front in that 7 truck. Brad Herman running second now. Jason Crackey going to be in third. Jonathan Byer sitting there in fourth, as he has been most of the night. Troy Techmeyer going to be in fifth. Landon Cardulo a little bit further back in sixth place with a lot of damage on the front of that truck. Josh Mueller sitting there in seventh. Michael Amenti going to be in eighth. Sean Jensick going to be in ninth. And Joseph DuPont going to be rounding out our top 10 trucks. So there you have it. I believe the pace car lights are off here. It looks like Lucas is going to be taking the high side again. So we'll see if this pays off for him.
That's an aggressive call after what we saw in that last restart, but maybe he found something that he liked on that. We didn't get too far into that run. They barely got out of turn 2 for that race for the lead before the caution came out, so maybe he just liked how it felt up on that high side, and we'll see if we can get a better chance at looking at that strategy play out this time.
Yeah, I just hope the strategy for everybody behind them is to not go 4 or 5 wide heading into turn 1 again, because that is not going to work, as we've already addressed. But here we go. Lucas is going to get a big jump here. Gets a nice little jump on Brad Herman, about 2 or 3 truck lengths, but he is going to have his work cut out for him, as that 85 has been the fastest truck all night. Nothing standing in Brad Herman's way but that 7 truck. So we'll see if Lucas can get a little bit of lady luck on his side. It's another yellow is out. Big caution, big wreck here on the backstretch. Dave Jr. along with Brad Rivers, seeing him back there. We're going to have to find out exactly who else was involved.
Well, Beer Street Journal for the 12th time tonight reminded you to please drink responsibly, which might be a challenge for some of the drivers after some of these nights that we're seeing for a few guys. But Dave Fuge Jr., see him going 3 wide, trying to thread the needle there and getting a little low and making that contact with the 17 of Danny Setzer, and that just set him loose. Looks like a little bit of contact. Not sure who that was. It could have been the 64 or the 74. A little bit of extra contact there at the end of it, but only a couple trucks involved, and looks like relatively minor damage for everybody.
We said that these trucks do not need any extra assistance on spinning out, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing some guys get into one another, going 3 wide into the turns, and that's just a very bold strategy. As we see Jack Johnson around this one again here. Fortunately for him, not getting involved this time. But yeah, it's just, man, you don't need any extra help, and these guys are doing just that. They are really racing tight around this Richmond Raceway racetrack, and you see the result of it. It's going to be the 12th caution of the night, and we still have 24 laps to go.
You mentioned a bold strategy. Not many being too successful with the dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge strategy around here tonight. So we got 12 cautions already, as you pointed out. I think we're still in line to see a couple more, but hopefully we get this thing going to the finish here, and we can see a good race to the end at this short track, which when you get a green flag run, it's actually pretty exciting racing around here.
And another movie quote from our very own Brandon Zomain. You got to love that when he busts those out. Great movie, Dodgeball. Kind of lighten up the mood here tonight. But yeah, they could use a little bit of duck, dodge, dip, dive, and duck. I don't even know what it was.
Well, interesting here. Lucas Lyons clutching that thing off, and I mean, he came in on lap 76. He's gonna be good on fuel, because it's not like we haven't had cautions since then.
Yeah.
A little surprised to see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's just taking a little bit of extra precautions that he doesn't need to, I don't think, because we talked about it in our Rev Racing practice last night. 70 laps was definitely doable. One-stop race. I believe we'll see the same thing for tomorrow's race, too, is the fuel run here is very long. Granted, it's a very short track, so definitely surprised to see him doing that. But, no harm, no foul. Definitely looking like he's going to take the high line again, as he's already up there before the pace car lights are off.
Real quick, guys, sorry to jump in, but what Lucas Lyons might be trying to do is keep the fuel load in the back of that truck. The more fuel you run out of these trucks, we already talked about getting loose out of the corners, but if you can keep weight in that rear end and keep the rear end planted, it'll actually help you out.
Not a bad call there with that one. And the other thing I was kind of considering, but I think you're more on track with that thought, was, if we start, the amount of cautions that we've had tonight, we could be seeing 3 overtimes and really extending this race. Maybe that was a concern, but I definitely like the way that you're thinking there and keeping the weight in the back, trying to keep this thing from spinning out as easy as it can when that tank's near empty.
Not every day Landon Lacey gives you one of his secrets, and I'm going to have to go ahead and put that one in the book here. Good call by him, but we're going to go back to green flag action here. Lucas Lyons going to get a good jump again, but not as good as he was hoping, probably. Only a 1 or 2 truck car length lead over Brad Herman, going to really arc it into 1, and Brad Herman sitting there just behind him, 3/10 off the lead. See if these guys can get through here cleanly. They're 3 wide back in the pack. You see it back there. Not sure how that's going to work out for these guys, but we're coming back to the stripe to take 20 laps to go.
It worked out because we're still green, so we'll take it. And I think I see the strategy here with Lucas Lyons taking the outside. He's getting that jump, and he's really able to arc that thing into turn 1. So I think he's just real comfortable trying to get that lead and just gently coming down into that turn. But we got the 85 of Brad Herman getting the nose out in front, caution out, and it should be the 85 going to be picking up the lead. But when we go back green, and we got smoke in 3 and 4, but we don't quite have who was involved in this one.
It was whoever was running about 3rd, 4th, or 5th right there. They got a little bit of bump from someone on the inside. Not exactly sure who it was, but if we just go back that last lap and follow our leaders, I'm pretty certain we will see exactly what happened as I was following it from the blimp cam.
Looked like the 55 of Minty and Landon Cardulo.
I saw some nose damage there to the 13. Not sure if it came from that or if it was earlier. I believe that was actually earlier. I'm not too sure he made contact with the 55. We'll take a look here as you see him got some distance. There's already that gap, and that's a big-time net code. And that is unfortunate for Michael Aminti, who is running in the top 5. Had a great run going tonight.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest and worst net codes I think I've ever seen right here. That's really unfortunate for the 55. It's going to really kill that good result that he was working hard for, running in the top 5 for a good portion of this race. But unfortunately for him, he is going to be mired a little bit further on back in the pack.
Didn't lose too many spots. Looked like he's only going to fall back to about 11th as he kept it going pretty quick. But that was a good caution for him, actually, that it came out. There was a good chance that caution was not going to come out at all because he got that going pretty quick. And if so, he was going to fall back a good 5, 6, 7 spots farther. So a bit of a benefit that caution came out for him. He's only going to fall back actually to 9th place.
Well, someone falling back. I'm surprised to see him do this. Lucas Lyons came down pit road that time. He's going to be back in 21st position now. So I'm quite surprised. He lost the lead there, so not what he wanted, but, still had the potential to really get a good top 5 finish, potentially a podium finish tonight. He's going to have his work cut out to pass all these trucks with, probably 15 laps to go when we take the green.
Yeah, Lucas Lyons did come in. James Kerr, Tevin Whitner, and Landon Cardulo came in as well. Landon obviously taking a chance there to fix some of that damage, but up front, well, look who's showing up again at the end of the race. That 66 back-to-back wins, looking to make it 3 in a row, and he's up in 2nd. That's Jonathan Byer.
Yeah, I'm regretting my decision now to not take Jonathan Byer again because he's just going to start winning every race, it seems like, here as he's right on the back bumper now. Brad Herman looking at potentially making a three-peat after not winning at all before, his first win of the season. I can't remember exactly the track that he did it at. I think it was Homestead and then Nashville last week. And now potentially has the opportunity to win here at Richmond. So the 66 is firing on all cylinders. And we've seen a few other JBR trucks running up front tonight as well. So they are really getting into the swing of things as the season is already over halfway done as far as the regular season goes. But there you see pace car lights are off. We're going to get this thing gridded up, and we're going to see exactly who comes away with it in just a little bit.
One name I want to mention out there running in third, and fourth. That's Jason Kratke, still on that older tire strategy by about 20 laps compared to the race leaders, but he was holding pace pretty well when we went green these past couple of restarts.
Well, pace car is off. Brad Herman going to have the field in his hands. Gets a big jump. Wow. Over the field. He just dusted everybody. Josh Mueller going to get a big jump on Jonathan Byer, possibly take over second place here. Jonathan Byer just going to fall in line. So Josh Mueller up to second now. So that big claim from Zachary Bergeson might come to fruition here. And another caution out. Big wreck back here. We saw Michael Madden involved. Oh, Mortruck, Brad Rivers, Andrew Harris. And then you see Troy Techmeyer back there as well. The one of Matt Johnson there. And the pace car are going to have to really dodge all these trucks to get caught up to the field. And that is the 14th caution of the night.
And the first one that caught my eye was Troy Techmeyer, and he went head first into the outside wall. And we'll see what happens here as he's got Sean Jensick behind him. There you see Michael Madden, who had some heavy damage in this one as well. Looks like the field stacked up in front of Techmeyer, and there he goes hard into the outside wall.
Saw Lucas Lyons get through there, who we just mentioned, come down pit road. That's the danger of going further back in the pack, is all this stuff happening right in front of you. But yeah, Michael Minty just sends Troy Techmeyer hard into the wall. Big impact there for the 32. And kind of pulls down in front of everybody else here. It's just chaos in the backstretch at this point. There's about 10 trucks spinning out, nowhere for anybody to go.
That was about the equivalent of just dropping an extra needle into a just big pile of needles at that point. It was with everybody scattered. We had an absolute yard sale on the backstretch, and there you see Techmeyer trying to get it going, having to stop yet again as Matt Johnson was trying to back up and get out of there. But this is going to affect a good dozen trucks for the second time, one of these major pileups.
Yeah, smart move by Dave Fuchs Jr. here. Just sees everything happening in front of him and just flat out stops the truck. I'm going to go probably do the same thing tomorrow as we're... Oh, boy. Brandon, I might not just show up to the track tomorrow. I might just, be sick. I'm going to have a sick day.
I'm sitting there thinking, all right, well, I've started to get a little bit of momentum, but I'm we get these 3 drop weeks, and I've kind of used up my opportunities on those. Not looking forward to tomorrow based on what we're seeing tonight.
Yeah, and you guys see how loose these trucks are. Multiply that by times 10 with the Xfinity cars. They just have absolutely no rear end grip, so we'll see how it works out for us tomorrow, but we still have a truck race to find out who is going to win tonight and get these points on the line. Right now, Brad Herman is sitting up front looking to park that thing in victory lane if they can just get it done and get this thing finished under green. Right there, Josh Mueller sitting behind him now in P2. Jonathan Byer fell back to third that time, so that's going to be our top 3 at the moment. We'll see how it sorts itself out. Probably going back to green with 7 laps to go.
And how about the resiliency for a couple of these guys in the top 10? We saw Michael Aminti spin on the caution before this one. He's back up to 6th. Michael York has been in about 3 cautions. He's up to 8th. Kyle Wimble up to 10th. They have all been in at least one, if not multiple cautions tonight, but here they are back up into the top 10.
Yeah, you've seen how damaged that 23 truck of Michael York was. When we saw him go to pit road that one time, and it was just all sorts of beat up. And we were mentioning how you just got to keep running and see what happens. And here he is in 8th place. So that just goes to show you keep fighting. You just saw him go by right there. Take a look at this truck. It is, I don't think there's a straight fender on it. Maybe that left rear quarter panel, but that's about it.
You know, it doesn't have to be the prettiest truck at the end of this thing with how many beat-up trucks we have. That one actually kind of fitting in pretty well. But, yeah, great job from Michael York keeping that thing going.
The cleanest truck on the track right now is Brad Herman. Gets another good jump on the field. It's going to be a battle for second now as Jonathan Byer takes a look to the inside of Josh Mueller here. See if Byer can get by Mueller and set his sights on Brad Herman. Going to have his work cut out for him, though, as that 85 has just been very fast all night long.
Yeah, he's been jumping out to these great restarts. Contact to Josh Mueller. You see him get sideways.
Ooh. 15th caution of the night, and it's a big one with some heavy hitters here on the night. I believe Landon Cardullo got some big damage in that one as well. So some front runners. You saw Joseph DuPont there having a great night. Really going to be falling back in the pack now as we check out our 15th wreck replay on the night.
Well, there's that original contact. It was DuPont into Mueller. We saw that from Mueller's onboard camera. There's the 8855 making some contact. I saw one other truck going to the inside spinning, and I think it was in the follow-through way in front of that. I want to say, unfortunately, it was Michael York. As we got the camera on him now, he's getting through, and then just a little bit of contact unsettled that truck, and he got sideways. Doesn't look like any more damage to that truck, but that'll be kind of hard to keep up with if there was any additional one. But kept it going. But unfortunately for him, he's going to lose a good amount of spots.
Yeah, I don't think you could get any more damage on that truck. But still, I think he's running 9th on the night so far, so still running pretty well. Can still come away with a top 10, which I have to imagine would be a absolute win after the night that he's had. But yep, another big caution here, our 15th one of the night. I believe that's going to bring us down to a green-white checker finish. Not sure if it'll be overtime, but I'm fairly certain we will only have 3 to 2 laps to go when we go to green.
Yeah, if it is a natural green-white checker finish, for everybody a little unfamiliar, that does not apply to the 3 overtime attempts. So if it's a restart on lap 124 of the scheduled 125, that will not count as one of those overtime attempts. And we are kind of flirting with that number, but yeah, I'm still looking at 2 trucks looking pretty clean, and they're those ones that are up in front. And that's a solid spot to be because you're missing all of this chaos that's going on behind them.
Yeah, both of these trucks sitting on the same tire strategy as well, so not much advantage for Brad Herman out front. So we'll see exactly what Jonathan Byer does to potentially get by him. You know, he's had the taste of winning lately, so I know he loves it, and he wants to make it 3 in a row. And that would be a big feat here in the Truck Series to pull that off. So he is going to be really digging hard on these last couple of laps. So we'll find out exactly what happens there. But we have a few more laps to pace around, get this thing cleaned up, and get them re-gridded for another restart on the night. And Brandon, do you think we get this thing done without going into overtime?
Oh, why you got to put me out there like that? I think, you know, the way that this is going, I would say it would be a hard bet to make to say that this will be a green flag finish on 1 attempt. Once we get going here again, we'll see if the lights go out. If they do, it's going to be a natural green-white checker.
And they do.
So a natural green-white checker. We might still have 4 restarts here tonight if we keep this pace that we've had here late with this aggressive driving, which you have to do at this point in the race. You can't really blame anybody for it at this rate. It's just a high number because we've seen this aggressive style all night long.
Come on, Brandon, hold the faith. These guys can do it. They can get it done. Come on.
Okay, yes. Well, we're gonna go green to the finish here. I'll do it just to throw out that positive juju.
There we go.
Quick snippet. Last season, all 3 series used all 3 green-white checkered restarts.
have another stat from Lane and Lacey. Right there, Brad Herman gets a big jump on the field. It's going to be hard for anybody to get back up to that bumper. Let's see how these guys get through turns 1 and 2. They're 3 wide in the middle of 1 and 2 right now. See how they get out of it. So far, so good. Nobody spinning yet. If he takes the white flag this time, next flag will end it. I don't see anybody spinning in turns 3 and 4. There you go. He takes the stripe. It's 1 lap to go. Brad Herman has his eyes set on the checkered flag, looking to park that thing in victory lane. You see the 239 there spun around, but that's not going to be in the way of our leaders. Brad Herman going to come around 3 and 4. If he can keep that thing going straight, he is going to be our winner. Whoa! Wow, that 239 was right in front of Brad Herman, but he is able to get by him cleanly, and he is your winner tonight for the Rich Get Richer 125, his first win on the season.
And we have a major wreck on the front stretch. We had a huge one in 3 and 4 as well, but this race getting to the end, and it's Brad Herman ending the streak of Jonathan Byer, who had back-to-back wins, and why not just put some heavy damage on the 85 on the cool-down lap there, as he was the only one that didn't have any already, as he'll take the checkers here. Jonathan Byer, 3 straight top 2 finishes for him, as he'll be second tonight after those back-to-back wins, and Sean Jensick going to round out our podium positions as the celebration underway for the 85.
Uncle Netcode was not done with the night so far there. So just get all sorts of damage from Jonathan Byer, giving him what was supposed to be a congratulatory tap, a little bit more than that. But there you see it, Brad Herman burning it down on the front stretch with his teammates. All of them out there celebrating with him, having a good old time. First win on the season in the Truck Series, so congratulations to him. But let's go ahead and give you the rundown, the finishing order of our top 20 tonight. You see it, we keep saying it. Brad Herman won tonight, dominated, qualified on the pole. He did it all. Jonathan Byer coming home in second. Sean Jensick coming home in third. Jason Crackey, a great finish, coming home in fourth. Kyle Wimble rounding out the top 5.
How about the team parity we're seeing in the top 10? Looks like 7 teams inside the top 10, but 6th place going to be the first tank racing driver. That's Josh Mueller in the 26. Bobby Anderson racing with Michael Amenti in the 55 and 7th. Rob Yost Jr., top Zuyos driver today in 8th. Michael York with up and down night, but there he is up in 9th. Taylor Smith with the top 10 for the do-gooders.
Lucas Lyons able to work his way back up to 11th after that late pit stop. James Kerr going to come home in 12th. Michael Madden going to come home in 13th. Danny Setzer going to be 14th, and Landon Cardulo coming home in 15th.
16th place will be Tevin Whitner in the 9. Bruce Amston will be in 17th. Mike Mosby, our bubble driver entering this race, will be in 18th. Joseph DuPont in 19th, and rounding out the top 20 will be Jacob Zala.
Well, let's go ahead and get to the post-race interviews and interview our top 3. So let's start with Sean Jensick coming home in third. Sean, it's Greg Olenik and Brandon Domain up here in the SRN booth. Tell us about your third-place finish tonight.
That race was a mess. I was just trying to be out there to survive. Got spun early on and was able to recover. And thankful to come home in third place tonight.
Yeah, it was we saw that spin early, and then, you know, thankfully for you there, like a lot of people were having those issues as well, and it kind of evened out that field. But how hard was it to kind of get a rhythm out on the track with this race tonight with all the cautions that we saw?
It was almost impossible to get into a rhythm. You really didn't get in any green flag laps at all. So it was just really tough to be able to do that, and it wasn't a fun one out there, to be honest.
Nonetheless, coming home with a great finish, sitting third in points, coming home third tonight, so you're going to add to that total. But Sean, before we let you go, sit you back down to your teammates, you got any sponsors, any friends, any family you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Long MacArthur, Sparkle and Shine, and Silverback Tax Solutions. I would also like to give a shout out to my teammate Lucas for putting together this whole thing with Christopher. That's who we were all racing for tonight, and I'm just happy to be able to bring it home for him, bring it home for Lucas.
Congrats, man. That was a great tribute by Lucas and the rest of the truck guys out there, so we will be seeing more of that as the week goes on. but we're going to go ahead and send you back down to your teammates, man. Great finish tonight, coming home in third.
All right, thank you.
Well, that was your third place finisher, Sean Jensick, saying it was a rough one out there today. I have to imagine that will be the theme for the next two interviews as well. So let's go ahead and bring up our runner-up tonight. That's going to be Jonathan Byer from JBR. Didn't get the three-peat, but still second after back-to-back wins. Not a bad finish, Jonathan. Tell us about your race today.
Yeah, almost got another one there. We were so close. But, I mean, really proud of how the team did today. We all kind of got in some trouble in various points of the race, but played a little bit of strategy to get the track position when we needed it, tried to stay out of trouble when we could, and still brought 4 trucks home in the top 20, which is always a good team points day, which is what we're about here. So all in all, a good day. I'll take second at Richmond. Definitely not one of my favorite tracks. So if I can even get a top 10, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and you were talking about everybody that was having some issues out there. How was the team chat, and how was the keeping the morale up during that race? I know that there were a lot of cautions, so a lot of people were having some trouble. But how was it just getting everybody, kind of focused on? You're the team point leaders, trying to protect that lead. Everybody's having a rough night there for the most part. How was it in kind of keeping that morale up?
Well, the nice thing about what we have with our team is good camaraderie. When one of us gets in some trouble or something happens, we give that driver a moment to speak their piece and vent for a second, and then we kind of group everybody back together and get it going. Because, somebody's got to hear it. We rather, that be heard on the team channel than directly to other drivers, because we don't want to make enemies out here. So, just giving everybody that second to kind of clear their mind, and then dial back in. That's what helped us kind of group it back together and be successful tonight.
Well, Jonathan, you're likely going to build on that points lead you have so far in the season, so congratulations on that. We look forward to seeing what you can do in Pocono, but before we let you go, you got any sponsors, any friends, any family you want to give a shout-out to?
Of course, I have friends and family that watch every week, and thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you're entertained by the show, but we appreciate your support. Appreciate the support we have from Bolify on my truck every week. They do amazing things for us. And then RacingJunk.com for being stepping up as a premier partner for the remainder of the season. Those paint schemes have been awesome to see on the track, and we look forward to a continued partnership with them.
All right, Jonathan. Well, congrats again on the runner-up tonight. We'll send you back down to your teammates to go ahead and celebrate a little bit, and then we'll see you next week in Pocono.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was our points leader on the season, Jonathan Byer, coming home second tonight, adding to that point total. But let's go ahead and get to the man that just dominated the race tonight, led 92 laps, had the fastest lap out there. He qualified on the pole. He did everything he could tonight, and it showed. Brad Herman, it's Greg Olenik, and Brandon Domain in the booth. Tell us about your win tonight.
Oh, man, I just had a fast truck. Really feel like I got this place dialed in. Being on the pole was huge. Definitely helped me on a lot of the restarts that I had to get through, and just had a really good race.
Yeah, the big thing that we kept noticing was just the quality of the restarts. I would say about 9 out of 10 where you were just checking out by a good 0.4, 0.5 of a second by the time you got to turn 1. What was the strategy, and how did you keep it kind of fresh out there? Because the amount of cautions, it's real easy to get trapped there and kind of doing the same thing and getting caught.
Yeah, I really wanted to stay in the lead no matter what, because I knew the restarts were going to be huge. You got trapped on the outside, you're going to lose a bunch of positions. But yeah, just try to give them a surprise on the restarts and try to pull out to a good lead, so I had my own lane to run.
Yeah, you definitely had a great job out there tonight with the restarts. Definitely showed, and you guys did good as well as far as the team stands go. Michael York able to come away with a top 10 after a rough night out there. So Next Level Motorsports likely going to move up to second place in the team standings next week. But before we let you go, Brad, you got any team sponsors, any friends, any family you want to give a shout out to?
I just got to thank York for bringing me on the team, and Next Level Motorsports. Great group of guys, good friends, just good fun racing, and it's nice to be in the booth again.
All right, man. Well, congrats again on the win. Absolutely dominating performance. We'll see what you can do next week at Pocono.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it. That was our winner tonight for the Rich Get Richer 125. Brad Herman absolutely dominating the field, even though we were plagued with about 15 cautions for 75 laps. He led just about every single one of them. But Brandon, before we start talking about next week for the truck race you see there at Pocono, what do you think about the race tonight?
Well, I mean, it was absolutely chaotic, as was pretty obvious by watching that one. And just kind of taking a look at the numbers, only 2 drivers came away with 0 incident points in this race and picking up a bonus point as well for that. And obviously that would be Brad Herman, who led most of the race and was clear of everything. Rob Yost also getting that bonus point for no incident points in this race, so good on him. But, I mean, with all the cautions that we saw, all the trouble that we saw on the track, our top 3 all started in the top 5. The rest of the top 10 started outside of the top 10, and some of them outside of the top 20. So, I mean, the rest of the week, if we see any kind of action like this that came out here tonight, expect to see a lot of guys making some big jumps through the field.
Well, luckily, we're going from one of the smallest tracks on the circuit to one of the biggest tracks on the circuit next week for Week 8 action, the Tricky Triangle, or the Tricky 110 from Pocono Raceway. My producer Sean getting me a little bit there with that one. So go ahead and check that out next week at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday. But Brandon, tomorrow we are going to be getting into the short racing or short track racing action. I'm calling it sick.
I'm just there's a couple other movie references I was thinking, and I'm not too sure I can even say them on the broadcast, thinking about what we got tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. Hopefully with the no fast repairs, we see a little bit more of a calm race, especially early on. Let the field kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm there before getting any race cars torn up. But it's real easy to get aggressive around this track, so hopefully I mean, I could be a little bit biased. Hopefully you and I just avoid it, and we just keep that thing going and maybe get a good run.
Yeah, well, it'll be a good race nonetheless, and, you know, it's got to get done, so we will see each other out there tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see you guys out in the chat again for tomorrow's race. Catch it at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, 9:30 Eastern. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to Speed Racing Network. And as always, remember to go faster.